hear you.
Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. I'm Rosemary Lachance, a spiritual energy healer, teacher, and therapist. And I am the host for this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their fields. This series is recorded, will be shown in your area on your local public service cable network. Please contact them for times and dates. If you have a group that you think would be interested in what we have to offer, I'm available to come to your group and teach. I will give you my contact information at the end of the show. Please visit my website and click on my TV show where you will find a wealth of information about the show. Our shows are now available for you to watch free on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type Healing Outside the Box and make your choices. We are constantly adding new shows, so keep checking back. We're also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. Please like our page for the latest information about our show. We hope you enjoy the show. And now, before I introduce tonight's guest, we're going to speak again about the North Haven Police Union Rescue K9111 Operation Animal Freedom. That's going to be in the North Haven Fairgrounds, and we'll put it up. There it is. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about it. Rescue K911 is looking into conducting a huge 2-day adoption event at the North Haven Fairgrounds, Friday and Saturday, September 23rd and 24th. They have already gotten approval from the Fair Association and have the support of North Haven's First Selectman, Michael Frieda, who is also the co-chairman of Connecticut's Humane Treatment of Animals Task Force. They are looking to work together in this event to try to provide homes for as many animals as possible while promoting any businesses or organizations that cater to animals, such as rescues, grooming salons, pet supply stores, pet bakeries, and so forth. And they're also looking for entertainment. They are also looking for vendors to provide vegan and vegetarian cuisine, skincare, and hair products that are 100% cruelty-free. Basically, if you go above and beyond to keep animals out of your products and food, then this event is for you. So come and join us. And you can contact Gina Quiroga at 860-510-8640 or Val Quiroga at 203-464-8992. And they're going to be on the show next month. Thank you. And now on with the show. Okie dokie. Tonight is our 195th show, and the title is The Near-Death Experiences and After Effects. And our guests are Sarah Murray at the far end and Diana DeFranco right here. And I can reach you. I can't reach Sarah to...
We'll wave.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Sarah first. Sarah, she was on our show twice before. This is her third visit on our show. And she experienced a series of near-death experiences at the time of a car accident in 2005. And she shared her experiences with the IANDS, which is International Association of Near-Death Studies, with Connecticut Hartford Archdiocese Deacons Seminars, as well as presenting, along with Dr. Diana DeFranco, to a graduate class at Columbia University. Sarah has published magazine articles of her NDE account. And Diana has 18 years of experience working with adults, adolescents, and children, and has been in private practice since 2012. She was a presenter, speaker at the American Center for the Integration of Spiritually Transformative Experiences. It's called ACISTE. At the 2013 Annual National Conference. She is also a member of the International Association of Near-Death Studies and the leader of the Shoreline IANDS support group, and is certified by the American Center for the Integration of Spiritually Transformative Experiences as an ACISTE certified mental health provider. Diana's treatment approach is holistic, encompassing the mind, body, and spirit connection, and traditional therapeutic orientation. Her motto is, "Being happy is of the utmost importance. Success in anything is through happiness." Please read more about Diana on her website. Okie dokie. So the first question I'm going to ask, Sarah has already explained, she has been here before. So Diana, I'd like you to tell the audience what got you interested in this and made you start your own practice.
Well, I began to be especially interested in the near-death experience phenomena at the passing of my mom, when I experienced what is called a shared death experience, which is the experience in which you are at the bedside of a person that is dying. It could be a loved one or anyone else.
Okay.
And you share the experience with them. You share some of the stages of the near-death experience. But prior to that, I was interested in the phenomena. And the reason being is I've always been a spiritual seeker all my life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what made you get interested in this?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sarah, how do the near-death experiences continuously affect your life today?
Thanks for asking that. It is every single day a deeper experience for me. I've shared on this show that near-death experiences in 2005, at the time of a car accident, actually have deepened more now than at the time I had my first remembrance of the NDEs, which was very, very profound for me, but I really didn't know who to tell, which is not uncommon for people who are medically resuscitated, and they go, okay, something happened here. While I was what's called clinically dead, something happened. And who can I go and tell this to?
All right.
Who will accept that maybe that actually is what happened? Although it certainly is more of an open topic now, and I think people are really interested in it and what can be learned about the continuation of life at the time of death. And for me, certainly, I have no fear of death whatsoever.
When was this accident?
It was 2005.
2005, okay.
Right.
So that's like, let's see, 10, 11, 12 years
It's
ago.
almost 12 years
Yeah.
ago. In November, it'll be 12 years.
Wow.
Yep.
It's got to be frustrating not knowing who to talk to about it. and
Well, it
wanting to
was
share
that first number of months after I was having a recall of experiencing something beyond what I could necessarily describe in human language. But I knew I had experienced it. It was very, very real. And I was very fortunate because someone approached me who knew about my car accident and knew that, you know, I had to be resuscitated, and knew that my recovery had been a very, very long process. And this gentleman approached me. He was a friend of mine. And he said, "Say, Sarah, did you see the light?" and you know, and the floodgates opened because I had someone who knew what to ask me. And then I looked at him and I said, "Well, yes, I did." And I was very comfortable and safe to tell him that.
Good.
And today I feel very comfortable talking about it. And my goal with all of this is always hoping that it'll help somebody who's hearing what I have to share
That's
about
nice.
it. Yeah.
That's really
So that
nice.
people understand this is actually a perfect universe in the face of our questions about that. And I still have them every day, but I always remember it actually is a perfect universe.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So the impact is the impact of them now more powerful and deeper than at the time you experienced it?
It really is now, because the reason for that, I think, is I'm back in life, right? I'm back in the physical world with all the stuff that happens, and it's so easy out of the hospital, out of that intense experience of being able to focus on it. And now I'm in the world, and I've got to do my job and pay my bills and have relationships and all the things we as humans do, and have a life. And this physical environment isn't particularly conducive to thinking about spiritual experiences. So it's something I have to discipline myself about every single day, even now, even having had these experiences. And I'm absolutely certain of what I experienced.
Do you ever feel like you just want to go back over there?
Oh yes, it was tough to leave there. I had absolutely no problem when my soul left my body. It was actually very, very easy. The soul returning to the physical body was another story entirely. It was like, whoa, no, please. But it also gave me that beautiful awareness that we really are spirit. And to have the experience so beautifully of recognizing that I continued on in some way, even when my physical body just temporarily expired, that I continued on. That an essence of me continued on, but it also connected with the essence of everything else in the universe, which is what a lot of people experience with near-death experiences, or similar things like out-of-body experiences or spiritually transformative experiences. You recognize that you literally are interconnecting with everything in the universe, which some people call being one with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to be a wonderful feeling.
It is. It's incredible.
What future plans do you have now for sharing your experiences? Any?
Well, I always have trusted that the opportunities will come along so that I can share this. And my objective is always to be of help to other people, because the life experience is very difficult for a lot of us. It's still difficult sometimes. For me, having recognized from a broader perspective that everything really is okay and there's nothing to fear and everything is as it should be and we're really never alone, and that life really is this divine miracle and each of us are a divine miracle. Absolutely, that stays with me every moment of every day. At some level it's there, and it's there in my consciousness. But it's actually there in all of our consciousness. We just tend to just need to remember it. It's just there. You know, I was fortunate enough to really experience it very vividly. Leaving the body, it was much easier to feel the oneness with the universe and to feel this sense that everything really is okay. You know, so I bring that message to people because it's important for us to know, above all, that we are very, very extraordinarily loved beyond anything we really can understand with the human mind.
I hope this will comfort people out there who have had these experiences, and I hope that they're not afraid to talk about them. And of course, they can get in touch with you or Diana. And we're going to learn all about what Diana does now, and then we'll interconnect with each other. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Welcome. So, Diana, what causes a near-death experience?
Well, there are many circumstances in which a person could have a near-death experience. In fact, Dr. Raymond Moody, who he coined the term, he kind of regret putting the name near-death experience because this could happen when a person is having an extreme stress, in moments of isolation, in moments of extreme fear. A person could have it during a meditation. A person could have it playing music. In other words, it could occur in so many different ways.
So would you classify a near-death experience as just leaving the body? Is that what it is, leaving the body?
It's more to it.
Okay, tell us.
Leaving the body is just one of the stages that some people go through. but it's beyond that. A near-death experience is a phenomenon that has occurred forever. In fact, philosophers, many philosophers talked about it, and they've written books about it. And also, you could see a near-death experience, the experience of somebody having that experience in the Bible.
Yes, there was in the Bible, yeah.
I mean, this experience has been experienced by human beings forever. And like I was saying to you, is the experience, again, there are different stages through the near-death experience. And not every near-death experience is the same. Sometimes people have the experience of being out of their body, and they could see their body from a different vantage point.
Right.
Or sometimes they don't even have the experience of being outside of the body, but they could go right into a tunnel, and they could see a bright light, a point of bright light that becomes a light that is all-encompassing. Or sometimes they could go through a tunnel, or they could just see the light. Sometimes they could start by seeing deceased loved ones.
Okay, deceased loved ones, yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes they could be in the presence of a being of light. Some people say that they're in the presence of Jesus. Some people say that they're in the presence of an angel. And again, every experience is not the same, but there are common denominators for this experience.
Okay.
And there is a few, but one of those is that there is no time on the other side. There is no time and space.
I have read that, yeah.
And also that experience is more real than real. That experience is the most real experience that they've ever had. They said oftentimes that this experience that we have here is like a dream compared to the experience that they have there. That is more real than real.
I've heard that we're all having the same dream.
Yes.
That this really isn't real.
Exactly.
Right.
That is the real thing. And another common denominator is that's like going home. And some call it the home of all homes.
It's got to feel wonderful.
They said that there are no words to describe it, like Sarah said. There are no words to describe the unconditional love, the peace, the joy. So oftentimes people come back and feel either angry or depressed for having been sent back.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are back because they are told, you have a purpose, you have kids. And oftentimes the people who want to come back is the ones who have kids. Oftentimes, not always. So again, people could experience this in a number of ways. I know somebody who was praying when they had this experience. They were praying during bedtime, and they had this unbelievable experience. So anyway, there are a number of ways in which a person could have this phenomena, and it's transforming.
Isn't it important to learn how to meditate, to learn how to keep your mind quiet so these things can happen? I mean, if you're thinking constantly, I don't think you will have that kind of experience.
You see, that's interesting. It's not like you could make yourself have that experience.
No. Right.
Right. And needless to say, people who have this experience are seeking ways in which to go back there. And some people do. But nobody knows why anybody has that experience. Nobody knows who does. And there are so many people who have this experience. Just in the United States alone, there are about 6 million reported cases.
Wow, I didn't know it was that much. That's
And
wonderful.
this experience could happen to anyone, regardless of their religious belief, regardless of their race, their background, their socioeconomic status, their gender, their age. Could
Doesn't
happen
matter.
to anyone. Even somebody who doesn't believe in God could have the same experience, and of course they come back transformed. So it's an experience that transforms people most of the time.
Do you think someone could have a bad experience?
Yes.
And that would depend on what their state of mind and the way they are?
Well, that's a good question. There are unpleasant near-death experiences. And there are 3 categories, more or less.
Okay.
One of them is the void experience.
Void?
The void that, like, there is nothing, like you're all by yourself. Another one is the experience, somebody could hear a voice saying, oh, you're not for real, life is just a joke, or some kind of voice making them feel uncomfortable. Or it could be the typical hellish experience. Fortunately, the percentage of people who are reported to have those experiences very small. They say it's about 6%. But again, we don't know if the number is reflected on people being fearful about sharing that experience. And there may be some stigma attached to it.
Do you have any opinion on why they would have that kind of an experience? I mean, I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, that's a very good question. Nobody knows, but I could tell you that some of those negative experiences and very positive. In other words, a person could have a hellish experience or a negative experience, and it is somehow transformed into a positive experience.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? It's what?
It could be transformed. In other words, it could become positive. In other words, they could be in the typical hellish experience where you see demons and it's extremely scary, but then they are pulled out of that experience into the light, for example.
Okay.
So often, sometimes that happens. The other part of the near-death experience that it could be a little distressing is the life review.
Oh, yeah.
And that could be distressing for some people because you get to experience every thought, every action, every intention you ever experience. And not only that, but you can feel it and see it from a third-person perspective. So it's an experience that is very transforming. And people, when they come back, they are very transformed.
So some people, I mean, I've heard you have that when you pass over, when you're not coming back. But some people have it and they come back and in a near death. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Review.
That's new, yeah.
Yes.
So they could kind of see where they're at right now, right?
And it's very transforming.
Wow, yeah, it would be.
Yeah, and it could be sometimes very stressful because they could have a lot of remorse because they got to experience firsthand how their actions and their words touch people's lives. And not only the person they were in contact with, but the ripple effect.
Okay, the ripple effect.
So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful experience.
It would be. I would think somebody would be fortunate to have it, though, because it's like not too late to change,
Yes, and people do change.
That's great.
It changed. I mean, people are just transformed overnight sometimes.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think it goes without saying that if a person is attracted to evil, low thinking, conscious is not very good, commits certain acts and stuff like that, they're probably going to have, if they have one, it's not going to be very pleasant, I would think. What do you think? Do you agree, or what do you think?
Sometimes.
If they have them at all.
Right. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So even people who have the negative experience, their lives are transformed, needless to say. They really transform.
Right.
For the better.
Yeah. I would think that's someone who may be heading down the wrong path and they caught in time.
But sometimes the experience could be so stressful that it could cause that person to experience post-traumatic stress disorder as a result. Yep. Yeah.
Probably because they never believed it was so, too. Say, oh my God, it's really real. Oh my God, no more denying it now, and no more getting a last right and going right to heaven and all that stuff. No.
But I have good news, though.
Okay.
One thing that I have learned from some near-death experiencers who've had a profound experience where they get downloads of knowledge, all knowledge, and they come back with some of that knowledge, is that at the end, everyone goes to the light. Sooner or later, everyone goes to the light.
I don't believe in a hell.
Right.
Everyone
We're
does.
all going back home.
Absolutely.
Some going to take a long time, and some less, but
But
we're all
we're
going to
all
go.
gonna go home.
That's right. What kind of a guy would it be who condemns their child to an eternal burning?
Exactly. That's exactly
I think that
right.
was made up just to control people
You're
by
absolutely
various
right.
religions.
And sometimes, think about it, your own beliefs, your fear of hell could potentially, initiate that experience, sometimes.
That's true. And I think that if you've been not doing very good in this world, it's going to be hellish for you over there, sort of. You put that in quotes. In other words, it's not going to be nice. What goes around comes around.
The thing
You know,
is, right.
I saw that movie, The Shack, and he said to her, talking to God, well, they got away with it. And she said, nobody gets away with it. I don't punish. God doesn't punish, but it has to be worked out, right?
But you know what's interesting? When you go on the other side, like some people call it, nobody judges you. You are the one who's judging yourself, which is interesting. God's love is unconditional.
Right.
Absolutely 100% unconditional. So there is not like a God up there with a beard saying, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
There's no such
No
thing.
judging, no punishing, no any of that. That's wonderful, isn't it?
It's unconditional love. So coming back here, it's hard because there's no such thing as unconditional love.
No, very hard here. Yeah.
So it's hard. So some people find it very challenging having to come back.
I'll bet you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back. I don't want to. I gotta go back. You
Yeah.
gotta work it out. It's not your time. Yeah.
It's not your time.
Right. Exactly.
So
So, do you think it really changes a person? I mean, have you experienced from talking to people, how they changed after having this experience?
some people are profoundly changed in so many ways. Some change their career. I've had people who said to me, I used to be a, upper management and CEO, making a lot of money. I'm thinking of somebody who used to work in an advertisement agency, making a lot of money. When he came back from that experience, at the first meeting, he said, I'm quitting. My purpose in life is not this. And he quit. And not only that, but he gave all his wealth, his belongings, he donated them. And he wanted to have, find his purpose, how to make a difference. Needless to say, he drove his wife crazy. But that often happens. People change careers. Sometimes if they have jobs where they could potentially kill somebody, they quit. They can't stand it. So in that regard, they are changed. The relationships change, and sometimes they're compromised because they had a taste of the unconditional love, okay? And coming here where it's conditional, it's tough, okay? And the divorce rate for somebody who's had a near-death experience after the NDE, it's really high. It's about 75%.
Wow.
Just for that reason. And also because some people come back experiencing unconditional love for the people around them. So a husband may be jealous. Oh, wait a minute, you're just as nice to him as you are with me. And children also, is like, you love my friend as much as you love me, because the love is just, they become very empathic. Some of them, I'm not saying everybody, very empathic, extremely, to the point that they're very sensitive to people's emotions. Like they take on the experience. So that could be a challenging. You could be in a group of people, in a place, and you become very emotional because they're experiencing what the other person is experiencing. They don't have to say a word. You experience it.
Experience it, yeah.
So that's another after effect.
I know. This liking or loving someone better than someone, it's a worldly thing. I know we're supposed to love everyone the same. We can't do that right now, but it's just like you said, you love them as much as you love me. Yeah, you just love them in a different way, that's all.
Yeah.
But the love is
Right.
still as strong.
It's very strong.
Yeah, but different kind of love. Maternal
different-
love, child love,
yes.
love for the mate, and so forth and so on. Right, right.
Right.
Did you feel that way, Sarah, when you came back? Like you wanted to? Did it change your life?
Well, I came back in large part because of my children, and it had been mentioned earlier that very often people are drawn to coming back to this life because
Kids.
they still have children that need them, and my experience with that was very, very profound because at the time that I had this car accident, my kids were older teenagers, and they were very, very aware of what the medical people were saying about me and whether I was going to make it, and if I did, would I be functioning at the level they were used to me functioning at. And they just kept saying to doctors and this particular chaplain at the hospital when I was in the trauma unit, with all due respect, our mother's going to make it. They had that belief and that awareness and that connection with me. And when I was having one of my experiences in the world beyond, so to speak, I recognized that if I fully left this world and died, that my children would not be able to handle it. That was made very, very clear to me by some lovely spiritual beings who were helping me to make a decision, and I was involved with that decision about, do you want to go back? Do you want to stay? Do you want to fully go to the other side? Which for me was crossing a curved bridge, because that's what I saw, because I happen to love Monet's paintings with the curved bridges and the beautiful gardens and the ethereal colors of the flowers in Monet's
I think
painting.
that they make it that way for us, so it's comfortable for
Yes.
us.
Yeah, we are
Yeah,
that's
we're
exactly
someplace where
Yeah.
it's comfortable for us. It has something in it that we feel safe with.
Right.
There was a body of water running under the bridge, which is not uncommon. A bridge is a connector, and the ongoingness of life as seen in a body of water. And, you know, I had that experience of these two people, my children, would not do very well without me. Not like I'm indispensable, but it's just the love
needed you
that's there.
now,
Right.
yeah.
That they needed me more than I needed to go and have my wonderful experience on the other side with no taxes, no bills, nothing to worry about, and just go right on and take care of business.
Right.
And go be with loved ones who had passed before and animals that had passed before.
Yeah.
Big part of my experience was animals. I'm a great animal lover, and animals that I had adored who had passed on were there waiting for me in
I
that
can't wait for
tunnel.
that.
You know, I mean, you mentioned the void experience. Diana mentioned the
Yeah.
experience of the void. There was no void with me. It was so crowded in that tunnel. Like everybody I'd ever loved, and animals included, were all there greeting me, and then they kind of parted the ways so I could see my parents, because I really needed to see my parents, you know.
That's nice.
But
So-
that was interesting to me about my children, because when I was asked, what do you want to do? My first thought was, wow, you know, it's really nice here. Who would want to leave this? But I said, I need to go back because my children need me. And interestingly, that love and that connection is so powerful. I heard my children in my mother's heart saying, Mommy, please don't leave us. And they hadn't called me Mommy for a number of years. They did when they were little ones, but now I was Mom. And so I later asked them, what did you say that time that they were running in? It was the code blue and all of this. I was already in the trauma unit. And they said, we both called out in unison, Mommy, please don't leave us. And I
All right.
heard it in my... So that love transcends all the worlds and all the universes and everything. The love is eternal.
That's
know.
wonderful.
It's beautiful.
So then all near-death experiences are not the same, right, Diana?
No, they have similarities. They have
Yeah.
similarities, but they are not the same. Yeah, they do have common denominators. Like, for example, people describe colors that they've never seen before, more beautiful. Music that they've never heard before, but more beautiful. Everything is different, but similar.
Yeah.
I mean, there are different, some people go into the light, and from the light, they're able to see beautiful landscapes with waterfalls, but everything is richer. The colors are much richer, and colors, again, that you never see here.
Wow.
And sometimes people describe that like everything is alive.
Alive.
Like that you could see the light on everything.
Wow.
It's very beautiful.
Like an aura
Yeah.
on things.
The plants, everything,
Wow.
the flowers.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
It is powerful. And people who were very ill before they passed were completely well. There was no illness.
When they came back, you mean?
No,
On the other
On
side.
the other side.
Yeah, oh
And,
yeah.
Yeah, they're usually,
right.
they look beautiful and young.
Young. I've heard that we're about
yeah.
25 years old.
Yes.
Comparing on Earth, that's what we all
Yes.
look like at that
Well, my
time.
father looked really young on the other side. My mother looked a little older. So it's not true that women are always vain. Because, but my father looked very, very young, probably about the age he was when he married my mother, and very handsome. And he hadn't been ravaged by the diseases that later were the cause of his
Right.
death. And my mother would just appeared as my mother, and she had an apron on, and she was ready to go bake stuff, like she always baked cakes and pies and cookies on Saturdays, and she had the apron on.
Well, it was
And-
probably so it'd be comfortable for you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like
Right.
if I had reached out to touch her that I would have felt something solid.
Right.
This was her energy appearing, so
Right.
I would know who she was. And that's one of the beautiful things about it, is you know who they are,
Right.
and they know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
And all that's there is love and forgiveness.
It's great.
So if you had had a struggle with someone that you should meet up with on the other side, that was all gone. And sometimes those souls become your greatest protectors. My father had been, it happened due to some of the things that he was dealing with, that he could be abusive. And on the other side, when I saw him, the first thing he said to me was, "You are a wonderful daughter." And he used the present tense, so he still saw me as his daughter, and he asked me if he could try to be my father and protect me and watch out for me, because he said I was not able to do that when I was here on earth, and I'd like to make that up to you. So he's become, for me, a very special angel in my life, and my mother always was.
That's nice.
My mother was always my angel, and she still is.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Okay, Diana, if someone comes up to you and said, how does a person know if they've had a near-death experience? What would you tell them? How do you know that you had one?
Like, where there are different stages to the near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it's also possible that a person had a near-death experience and blacked the memory. And then suddenly, but they could have the after effects of somebody who had such experience.
Such as,
For example, there are many after effects. A person
Yeah.
could be very sensitive to energy. You could feel people's energy and the energy of a room. Also, you could have sensitivity to electromagnetics, like TVs, cell phones, computers. Sometimes I've heard reports of people's watch don't work. There are people who have near-death experiences that they can't wear a watch because it doesn't work. For example, you could walk through a light and on the street and the light goes off.
because you're vibrating on a different level? Is that what
It's
it
a
is?
good question, but that's just an after
You don't know
effect.
yeah, okay, so that's just the effect. We don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
And also, people become clairvoyant. They become, sometimes, I've seen the extreme of somebody reading your mind. They know exactly what you're thinking, okay? And they're able to see what's going on somewhere else. in clarity. I remember this near-death experience. This was wild. She was living with her fiancé, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, I'm going out with the guys." Okay. He was gone for a long time, but she could see him. She could see where he was. He could see the curtains where he was. He could see the colors of the sheets. He could see the person he was with in clear detail.
Wow.
So what she did is she wrote a letter explaining, and she left it on the door, and he got very upset and called her witch.
Yeah.
Because she could see what's going on in a different place. So they become sometimes very psychic. They could sometimes sense the future. So that's something that is sometimes common. Sometimes people become healers. They realize that all of a sudden they touch somebody who's in pain, and the pain goes away, or they heal them. Some people become healers naturally just from their experience.
Now, you say but people don't realize they had one.
Oh, yes. And then
Good.
all of a sudden something happens years later that triggers the memory. And all of a sudden they have the download, and they remember clearly what happened. And when they remember, it's like it just happened yesterday. That experience is always in the present. So some people, it happens often with kids, with children. They could be an infant. I remember this case. This woman, she was 12 years old, and she froze to death.
Oh.
She died. She had a very profound near-death experience. And immediately when she came back, she wanted to tell her parents, her siblings, "Oh, you won't believe what happened to me." And they said, "Oh, come on, we're exhausted, just go to bed." And they kind of dismissed it. They didn't believe her. But what she did, she wrote it down. It happened in front because her father was in the Air Force. And they were staying in a house in front. And anyway, she wrote out all that experience and put it in some place that she figured someday I'm going to come back and read this experience. But she did it, and then she came back with a purpose, with a mission. And when she told her parents and everybody, they said, "Come on, that must have been a dream." They sort of dismissed her until many years later, when she was an adult, somebody was talking about heaven, and the information just came back to her, and she remembered the whole thing. So that happens. So that's common too.
Okay. So why do people come to you? I mean, what is the reason that they'll see you? Because they've had it and they want to talk about it, or they don't know what to do. What are some of the reasons someone would come to visit you?
Okay,
professionally.
Despite the fact that this phenomenon is in the media, there's so many books written about it, sometimes people they don't have the knowledge, and when they share it with their friends, with the medical staff, with anybody, they get dismissed, pathologized, ridiculed. So they feel isolated, very, very isolated. They're saying, "What, am I crazy?" Sometimes they are medicated. They are pathologized, like, "Oh, you have bipolar disorder, you have this, you have that." So they go to somebody to be validated, and also to integrate that experience into their lives, which takes a number of years for that to happen. When people come back and they are completely transformed, they need time. Will help them to transform that experience into their lives, because many areas of their lives are changed. Sometimes people say, "I feel like I never came back 100%. I feel like part of me is still there." And sometimes people experience the feeling of timelessness, the feeling of they feel like intoxicated with bliss, and it lasts for a few months, and then they go back to normal. So anyway, they have so many changes in their lives that they need to integrate them. Sometimes they become depressed from feeling isolated. That's why IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Experience.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a lot of research in that area, and they have support groups like the one that I lead in Brantford. So people have the opportunity to share their experience and be validated and be with other people who've had similar experiences.
So you see these people there, but you also see them privately?
Some people want
counsel,
to.
yeah.
Some people want to just share, not only share the experience and to be validated, but also they want to integrate their experience. So then they go to a therapist like myself to help them integrate that experience.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, so there are resources available for this, like
There
IANS,
are.
and there's other ones too where they can go. Is that the only one?
Well, for example, if somebody wants to, they are from a different state, assist the American Center for Spiritually Transformative Experience, which is actually the sister organization to IANS.
What's it called again? Slower.
American Center for the Integration of Spiritually Transformative Experience. ASSIST is the acronym.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And what they do is they train professionals to teach them how to help people integrate these experiences in their lives. Because, like I was saying before, there are also spiritually transformative experiences that are similar to a near-death experiences, where people are transformed, they are changed, and they also have these after effects. So these professionals get trained and certified so that they could help. So there are people, therapists, different parts of the country.
To do that.
Yeah. There's, I don't know how many, maybe about 50 throughout the United States.
Wow.
But more and more people are being trained.
Okay. So you say that you don't have to actually die or to have this.
No.
You can have it. Can you give us a few examples of how a person would have? Well, would you call it a near-death experience anyway, or
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
You could have the same. You could have all the different stages of the near-death experience, which not everyone has them all. You could have the out-of-body experience, where you could see your body from above, and you could see. And that's another thing. When the person leaves their body, they're able to feel what everyone around them is feeling. And they could, just by thinking about it, they could be transported to their home or wherever they want to go. So anyway, so that's one of the stages, the out-of-body experience. The other one, like I mentioned, is going through a dark space. Some people call it like a tunnel. It doesn't have to be a tunnel. And then they see a point of light that transforms into a big, beautiful light that is brighter than any light that they have ever seen, but it doesn't hurt their eyes. Or they could just go right into the light and be totally in the light.
Okay.
Sometimes people could go close to the light and be surrounded by beings of light, or angels, or deceased loved ones. And then another, I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, but what I'm asking too is, if they're not having an accident to die, what would cause them to have this?
Okay, like I
A
mentioned.
dream or a
Not a
what?
dream. You could be having the most stressful experience of your life. You could be in terror. Like you could be driving and you are terrified you're gonna hit that truck, and you're terrified. Nothing happens to you, but you have the near-death experience.
Right there while you're driving?
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
And yet you're able to drive the car?
Well, that could be challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could have it in a moment of absolute emotional pain. Somebody who feels totally alone and isolated in emotional distress, they could have a near-death experience. Like I mentioned, you could be meditating. I know of people who've been playing beautiful music in concert, and all of a sudden, they're
They're gone, okay.
They're gone. But they can still play. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. They could also happen in a moment of absolute feeling of deep sorrow, completely devastated. A person could have a near-death experience. I know people who've had it taking a shower.
Taking a shower.
I mean, it could happen in so many different ways, and you could have the same experience.
Taking a shower. A lot of people we've talked about that. Something about taking a shower. I myself get transformed once in a while when I'm taking a shower. I don't know what if it's the water or what it is, but what about dreams?
Okay, dreams.
I've traveled in dreams to places where, as I was telling you before, I ended up in a beautiful place it was like the walls were gold, but it was like a cave-like thing, and a wonderful man there, and people were kind of milling around. I had the feeling that a class was ending, and I said, "Oh, this is nice." I felt a great peace. Oh my God, it was wonderful. I said, "Can I stay here?" And he said, "No, you can't stay here. It's not your time." He said, "But you can come visit anytime you want." So that's kind of like the same thing then?
Well, that's interesting. That was not a dream, what you just described. Does not seem like a dream. Did it feel very real?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That was not a dream. Because there are people who are able to connect to the other side during the sleep. Part of your essence leave your body. Some people don't remember. Most people don't remember. But you remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember my dreams all the time. I know we're connected by the cord, but that breaks and we don't come back. But, I remember them all the time, my dreams, most all the time. I remember now dreams that I had when I was a kid, as if they happened to me, but they were just dreams.
Right.
So I don't know why. That's always been my thing to remember like that,
So,
go ahead.
So it sounds like you were transported to a higher dimension. That's what it seems like. Which happens.
I just remembered something too, and I'm saying this because on you people out there, these things may have happened to you, and I'm trying to help you to see maybe this is what it really was. I remember I was walking with my dog, and all of a sudden my angel was there, and he took a hold of my shirt in the back, and he made me sit in this saucer thing like those sleds you go down the hill with. It was like a saucer, and I sat there, and he started to take me up, and my dog was barking, and I could hear this whoosh, 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 whoosh. So I was going up. I said, "Bye, Jamie, I'll be back, and going up, and the feeling of, and then ending up into a very nice place.
Wow.
Yeah, that kind of thing, has happened. So I'm sure that you all have had dreams like that, but if you're afraid to talk about them, you shouldn't be, because they're...
In fact, I know of people who've had these kind of lucid dreams that are not a dream, where they are able to communicate with the deceased loved one. And the deceased loved one tells them, "Please tell my family I'm okay." I'm thinking of someone right now who had a near-death experience, who had that very tangible experience of being with the deceased loved one, and is telling him, "I'm okay, I'm fine."
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
That's nice, yeah. That is nice. I know. How about you yourself?
Have I had those dreams?
Have you had anything?
Experiences
closer?
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had my own spiritually transformative experiences.
Did you? You want to tell us about it?
Well, I've had the after
Some of them?
effects. I had the shared death experience.
The what?
Shared death experience, which is
Shared death?
Shared death experience, or empathic death experience, which is when you are next to a loved one that is in the process of moving to the next, crossing over.
Crossing over, yeah.
And you experience some of what they experience. You experience the absolute beautiful peace, bliss, joy. Like there is no time, like time stops, there's no time and space. You could see the light. Sometimes, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful to see somebody that you love so much, like when my mom, my brother and my sister, we all had that experience. We were together with her, and after we went from one extreme to the other. We went from experiencing extreme stress to all of a sudden, like that, like turning on a switch, the opposite when my mom passed.
Wow.
And it was beautiful because it lasted for a while. It was a gift, and it let us know that she was in a beautiful place, in a place of absolute peace, absolute joy, love. It was amazing.
And you could feel that, and you could feel and see it.
You can
Amazing.
see it on faith. Yes, and I had that experience again with my mom months later.
Really?
Yeah. And again, it was in a moment of stress, and I felt her the same way. It was extremely powerful, very beautiful.
I've had, well, I call them dreams still, of people. I'd lost my son, and I have gone to visit him, and he has come around, and he has talked, and in one of the dreams, an angel said to me, your son is here. And I said, I can't see him. And I was looking in this room, and he said, no, he's right there. I said, where? And he said, stoop down. I don't know what it was. He said, stoop down and look. It was like there was a bar there. And he said, stoop down a little, and you can see. And I did. And I stooped down, and there he was, sitting on the bed, sitting up against the backboard with his hands crossed like he used to do, and look at me, and he was smiling. And he said to me, see, he said, I told you I'm around you all the time. You just can't see me.
Oh, my
Like
gosh.
that. And I thanked my angel.
What a gift.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift.
I remember visiting when he first passed and talking to him and crying, and I woke up and I was all crying, and I had him in my arms, and I woke up, my arms were like this, so, yeah.
What a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I think if you can be at peace when you go to sleep, these can happen more often. If you're not worrying about things, which is what we often do. And one of the reasons why we don't remember, I think, is because the minute we wake up, we start thinking. It's like we were told in my studies, these little thought Phoebes are all hanging around you, and the minute you wake up, hey, she's awake, let's get back her head, and we forget.
Right. Yeah, because from what I've learned is whenever we sleep, part of our essence goes to higher dimensions, and we're able to, as a matter of fact, we are multi-dimensional beings. Like, for example, our deceased loved ones could be in heaven, but they could be with us. They could bilocate. That's one thing that I've learned from experiences. You can bilocate. You could be here. They could be here with us, but they are there too.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
which is amazing.
Well, I'm getting signals from the control room that it's time to close, and it's gone so fast, hasn't it? Oh my God!
I know.
So we're going to give our contact information. To get a hold of Diana DeFranco, she's a psychotherapist. Her phone number is 203-668-6089. Her website is www.dianadefranco.com, and her email is dianadefranco@gmail.com. And for Sarah doesn't want to be contacted, but if you want to ask her something or you have some questions, you can get a hold of me, and I will get a hold of her, and she will probably talk to you and meet with you, okay? We'll do it like that. And my information is, my phone number is 203-627-7966. Email is whitebuffalo8@comcast.net, and my website is www.rosemarylachance.com. And don't forget to visit YouTube, where you can see all these shows for free and pick and choose what you'd like to. And this show will be up on YouTube in about a month. Okay? Anyway, it was wonderful.
A pleasure and an honor.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Sarah.
Love
Bless you. Yeah, love you too. Sarah and I are old friends now.
We are.
So thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on
for inviting me.
and
It was a
sharing this with
pleasure.
us. I'm sure it helped our people. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Feel We're dreaming